Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. All right. Was really good LeSBP Trading. Familia, buenos dias, bonjour, bon dia, salvona, guten abend, konbanwa, masakea, aftav. Thank you all for tuning in. So if you're tuning in and watching this back, please watch it back on times two, because usually what I tend to do is I talk relatively slow. These videos are usually long, so I usually go on these for probably about anywhere between about an hour to 2 hours. So if you're watching this back, watch it back on times two, because it will be a long live session. All right, so today we're going to be looking at trades and trying to figure out if we can jump into anything. We've kind of already missed one, but that's only because it's not 9:30 yet. The setup that came was actually right before the 8:15 news. So we'll jump into everything. I'll show you real quick, and then yeah, we can go from there. So let's jump into it. Let's jump into it. All right, where we at? Make sure I log into everything before I start showing my screen. That way I don't mess this up. All right, cool. So let's start off with the news real quick, and then we'll go ahead into the trading chart. So today is Wednesday, June 4th. Today we had ADP non-farm employment change that just recently passed. It is 9:16 right now, 9:17. So that came out at 8:15 this morning. Very big spike in the on the charts. And then at 10 o'clock we have ISM Services PMI. If you know anything about my trading, I don't trade until 9:30. So you won't see anything happen until 9:30 for me on the charts. I should not be trading after 4 p.m. So it should be from 9:30 to 4 p.m. I traded last night just to kind of get a good feel of making sure I wouldn't break any rules and stuff like that or whatever, which I haven't. I have had one trade so far, but because it was after 1800, they count that as the next day. So you won't see that here until tomorrow because they counted 1800 until 1800 today as the next day. So we'll be waiting on that, but you can at least see that here on Tradeovate. All right, so on Tradeovate, you can see that I have taken one trade. It was 12 contracts, and what that means is I bought in, sold out, or sold in, bought out. We got $0 on that. The only thing we got charged for was the commission, and the commission is $1.50. So when you're looking at today, you'll see $3 is gone because it's $1.50 to get in, $1.50 to get out. So $3 total, which brought us down to $49,997. All right, so that's just today. Once again, you'll see that here. All right, only commission. Now, looking at the chart, this was the first available trade that I saw for today, which was literally right before the 8:15 news that came out. It would have been a decent trade, but one, I don't trade the news itself, so I'm not going to trade like right before that news happens. Even if it is like the 10 o'clock or the 2 o'clock news, I try not to trade right before that news happens, just because sometimes it can be really unpredictable. And then two, it was at 8 o'clock. So I don't start trading until 9:30, which is right here. But really about 9:35, to be honest. I don't trade at 9:30. I would say 9:35. I trade after the 9:30 open, so I give it about 5 minutes, and then I can get into any trade that I see available and fit. And then we go from there. So I apologize, not 9:30 technically, it's 9:35. I wait till the 9:35 uh, after 5 minutes, basically after the open. So what we're waiting for now is to see if possibly we can get into a trade over here. My bad. Possibly if we can get into a trade over here at 9:35. That's what I want to do. So whether or not it be a sell trade or a buy trade doesn't matter to me, but from what it's looking like, we'll probably be getting into a sell position. Just to go over the trade that we had last night that I kind of tested, it was this one right here. I jotted down some notes after that trade, and basically what I was saying here is I learned two things. When you get into a trade for TradeOvate, which for whatever reason I didn't know this before, you cannot use stop loss and TP original buttons. So if I was to buy into a trade or sell into a trade here, you would see a line, and basically you would see the position that I'm in. Then you would usually see, if I was on paper trading, for any instance, you would see a stop loss kind of button where you can kind of drag that stop loss button up to where your stop loss is, and it would automatically set that stop loss, and then you would drag your TP button down here to where you're planning on taking your take profit. Now, what I noticed last night is, of course, you have to hit, this was a sell position. So I had to put a buy stop here of 6 contracts, and then I had to put a buy limit here. All right, so if you're selling, then you do a buy stop and a buy limit. If you're buying, then you do a sell stop, which would be down here basically, or a sell limit, which would be up there at your TP. So I didn't realize, of course, that you couldn't put a stop loss, just an automatic stop loss in TP. You had to actually set those limits and those stops. Now, the thing about that is the limit order did not disappear once the stop was hit. So I ended up putting my stop to break even once I knew I wasn't going to watch the market anymore. And that was like right around, I think right around here or something like that. Luckily, we got in a little bit higher than what our entry should have been. So our entry should have been right around here. We actually got in somewhere up in this general area. So it took a moment before it came back up, but it did come back up to knock us out. The thing about it was, though, that buy limit was still open. So that, even though I set it all up at the exact same time, maybe I set it up wrong. Hold on, I think I set it up wrong. But either way, I manually set it, and I think that's what I just did wrong. I think I just realized what I did wrong. So instead of clicking on the actual trade entry and then setting a buy stop buy limit within that trade entry, which brings up like the DOM chart, shows your entry and, or no, not DOM, shows your entries and exit. It's a little chart over here, which I'll probably show you if we get a trade today. I set it up manually as a buy limit down here in the buy stop. I think I know what I did wrong. So maybe can that for right now. We'll see if that actually doesn't work. But as of last night, it didn't disappear when that stop loss was hit at my break even point, which was my buy stop. That buy limit was still down here. And then the third thing, of course, that I already knew, but I need to reiterate for myself, not for y'all really, is do not trade overnight, as you will not be awake. So just in case I am right and that limit order doesn't disappear once everything is hit, maybe once my stop is hit, I'm not going to be awake overnight in order to watch the trade happen. So if that trade happens and that stop happens and I'm not awake, and next thing you know, it takes my stop out, but then it goes down to hit my limit or goes up to hit my limit, depending on if I'm going to buy or sell, I'm not going to be awake overnight to see that. So say it came down and my stop was already gone. So say it comes down, if it hits my limit, it's going to re-enter me, and it's going to enter me in a buy limit, which means that now I buy, and if the market decides to go back up but then fly back down, we're pretty much screwed because we're stuck in a trade overnight that I wouldn't have been watching. Now, of course, there is the other way where I got lucky and then it hit it and then all of a sudden came up like it did this morning, and we would have technically been in a buy until I woke up and saw that shit at 7 o'clock. But if you're not lucky, you know, it goes straight through it or something like that. You just bought in and now you're losing that trade for no reason. So I'm hoping what I'm thinking about this morning will help me if I can get an entry on a trade. But as for right now, don't trade overnight. That buy and stop limit needs to be set, or that sell stop sell limit needs to be set. Um, and for right now, I'm noticing that it didn't disappear. So we'll see if I'm wrong in the way I did it, because I did do it manually instead of setting it up within the like actually clicking on the entry. Because what you do is click on the left side of the entry where the contracts are, and I believe you can set that stop and that stop loss and that TP. So maybe that's what I did wrong. So we'll see if that's the case though, and then we'll go from there. Because I feel like I had to have done it wrong. There's no way that you can't set a stop loss and a TP. Like I feel like that would be a lot of complaints. If that was the case, there would be a lot of complaints. But yeah, so this was the only available trade that we had so far. And this one would have been a really, really easy one with actually a very small stop loss. So we'll see how it works out. 9:30 is coming in about 4 minutes. So we'll see where the market goes. But we do still have 10 o'clock ISM news 30 minutes after the open. So ISM services PMI will be coming out at 10 o'clock. All right. Let me hold on. I'm gonna focus myself really quickly because I realize I got my work stuff up here too as well. And I don't want y'all to have to see that. Let's see. All right, cool. We should be good now. All right, I'm gonna be quiet for a little bit, and just do some work. I really do have some work to do. I work a 9 to 5 already, so I got some work to do. I'm just gonna do that work while you all watch the charts. If you got any questions, let me know. You do have to be a sub in order to make comments on the, or sorry, to send messages in the chat. So yeah, if you got any questions, let me know. All right. Oh, there we go. All right, so as you can see, it's coming back into the area where I'd be willing to now take a trade. So we're just kind of waiting to see what happens here. If we get any kind of rejections or if it decides to continue going up or whatever. So just waiting. Oops. My mouse has been acting crazy. So basically we're looking at this area right here just to see if we can get any kind of rejection. I'm gonna need to make that purple so y'all can actually see that. But yeah, so trying to see what we can get right here. We might get a fake out trade first initially, which tends to happen sometimes, but it's okay as long as we can get into a trade. I'm not really too worried about it. And then I can also test my theory out onto how we can set that stop loss in TP where it's fully connected to the actual trade. So if we can get basically two rejecting candles down below my EMA here, then we can try to figure this out and see if it works or not. But we have to wait for the trade to unfold. So we'll be back when that happens. All right. Sorry, if that happens, not when that happens. If that happens. All right, my bad. Had to step away for a sec. Why is it acting crazy? We'll see if it's going to give us kind of what we need here. If not, then we'll keep waiting. We'll have to take some of this time. My computer's down here because this computer's trash. All right. Be right back. All right, so we had a really decent candle here, and then another decent one here at 9:51. It is 9:54. I hate trading right before the news, but I have a good feeling it's about to happen. And that's not a great candle. That's not a great candle. So we would need a legitimate push in order to get into this one. Can we get a legit push? It's right before the news, which sucks because if the news comes out, we could get a really hard spike in the opposite direction if we get into that trade, which could possibly not take us out. I mean, I'm sure y'all know something about spread. It could get real ugly. Yeah, so no push, cool. I'm actually cooler with that than I would be trying to get into this kind of like random trade. Let me take down some of this stuff though. Also, it was just teams that was kind of screwing me over. All right, let me see. All right, so I guess I'm at to work from both computers because that ain't gonna work. Let's see, here come this over. Just want to be able to use my desk. Cool. 49 seconds. Sad thing is, once again, it's right before the fucking news comes out. This is not gonna be great. Not going to be great. cool. I'm cool with this. Honestly, I'd be cool with it hanging around until 10 o'clock. Like, I hope that it hangs around until 10 o'clock. Because I really don't want to trade right before the news. But I also don't want to miss my setup if it's easy. If it's an easy setup. Simulation. Can we get some distribution? Set this right around 10:02. Now let's take it to 10:05. That way we get the start of the 5-minute candle. So we got a bit of accumulation here. And we'll see if it's going to distribute to the downside once this news pops out. 1 minute before news, I would trade right after the news starts. That would still suck, but I'd rather trade right after the news right after the news comes out rather than right before the news comes out. Cool. 30 seconds before the news comes out. And let's see which way the market wants to go. Now it could go back to the upside. You never know. Everything that I'm looking at says it wants to point to the downside, but it could legitimately point back to the upside. Or push back to the upside, excuse me. 5 seconds. And news should be coming out. Cool. But it looks like it's right back up here. Okay. There we go. So news is out. We won't have it until right after this next candle. And we'll see if it basically tricked us in just to fuck us over. Our stop loss would be right up here at the top of this accumulation, which is basically this candle right here. And all we're going for is 10 pips. So it's going to be quite hard and heavy if it goes all the way down here and ends all the way down here, because then that means we'll end up with a way higher stop loss than we will profit, because I'm only going for 10 pips. Come on, stay up here. All right, cool. Got our first candle. We have to wait until after this candle to put our entry. So if this is below our EMA here, then we'll enter. If it's not, then we're pretty much screwed and we'll have to wait. But we'll see if that wants to continue, because basically we'll be shooting probably for somewhere around along the lines of like below here, but that's only if this candle closes below the EMA. So EMA is not looking great though. For some odd reason, they're pointing to the upside. I'm not sure. Did I move my AL lines? Yeah, I did. I did. It's not looking great. And it did not. It failed. Okay. So still gotta wait. But I think that's better because at least it's after the news. So 1, 2, yeah. And maybe we can get a more decent entry without it having to be so such a long candle. which will skew our stop loss and TP, or our risk to reward is what I'm trying to say. All right, so we got one candle close. Let's see if we can get a second. Cool, we're in. And let me test my theory here while we're doing this. So take that. Yeah, see, you can't even click on that. So yeah, I was right. So basically, what I was thinking is, usually sometimes you can click on this and it'll bring up like a little message where you can set your stop loss. And then you could pop this in and say, all right, I want my stop loss to be here. But it looks like that's not possible. So I have to go along with doing it this way, which is the manual way in a sense, and set my stop loss and TP like this. See how you can click on that? Usually you can do that here too as well. Not sure why that doesn't work, but we'll see, I guess. I don't know. All right, so I helped myself a little bit by waiting just a second for that candle to come back up. That doesn't always happen though. That's not always the greatest way to do it, because sometimes as soon as that candle pops out, it just flies straight through. So in this case, it helped me just a little bit to kind of help my risk to reward, only by like a tick or two. So we'll kind of see what happens here. Other than that, it's pretty much all I got. Well, now we're just playing the waiting game to see if it hits our 10 pips or if it hits our stop loss at 12 pips. And then we'll have to manually remove the buy limit. If it hits our stop loss, we'll have to manually remove that buy limit, which is something I had to keep in my head, and keep saying to myself. I wonder if it hits the buy limit, will the buy stop be removed? I would think not. I'm guessing whichever one it hits, it doesn't remove the other. So we'll see what happens from there, and then we'll move on. If it can close below this, we should be good. If it can close below this little spiked area right here, I think we'll be okay. But we'll see. It's fighting against it. I can see that right now. It's definitely fighting. I don't move my I usually don't move my stop loss to break even until I'm literally like right there, like 2-3 ticks away from my take profit. That way I don't kind of shoot myself in the foot, because for whatever reason sometimes my trades like to fight back. So it could get like right here and then all of a sudden come all the way back up here and then go down to TP. I've learned that from testing, back testing, forward testing, live testing. So I'm going to allow it to come at least to like right about here. If it doesn't hit it, then I'll move my stop loss to break even. That way we don't have to worry about losing anything. And then from there, I'll try to let it hit TP. If it doesn't hit TP and it goes back to break even, I'll be satisfied with that, because I'd rather not play with the trade and allow it to come all the way back after literally almost hitting my take profit and then finally, you know, hitting my stop loss for whatever reason. All right, so we're out of that. And as you can see up here in this top left corner, that buy stop was not hit. So that buy stop is still there, which means we have to delete that. TP hit. TP hit, $301.50. Let's refresh this. Today, yes. Hold on, let me go back. Yesterday, today. There we go. All right, so TP hit for $307.50. It took up the commission for me, so we made $300 today. And that's basically it for right now. There could be other trading opportunities. I won't wait and kind of bore you all with that, but we'll see if that happens or not, and then we'll go from there. So by tomorrow we should see that information reflect here. They work off of kind of like an end of day scale, where basically they accumulate your trades, they accumulate your drawdown and stuff like that at the end of day. So at 1800, it should show, or I don't know, maybe it should, but it should show. I'm hoping by 1800 it should show the accumulated profit and stuff like that of today, if we accumulate profit, because I might still have more trades than I could lose. So we'll see what happens. We'll go from there. This is the first trade of the day, and it could be the only, or it could not be. So we'll see what happens, but I appreciate you all for watching. Thank you. Hopefully you have a great rest of your day. I'm hoping we don't lose any trades, but you know, hey, it happens. That's the market. That's what happens when you trade. So we'll see what happens. We'll go from there. All right, y'all. Thanks. Peace.